Okay, I know this has been talked a lot. Everyone loves Puss in Boots, including yours truly. But that means there is already so much talk about anything relating to this movie. Many range from story, animation, cats, or maybe how it took over Avatar, I don't know. And I'm just gonna say this first. I might not be able to bring something new to the table. What I say might be redundant, might not spark a new conversation, might leave you with a yeah, we talked about that last week. So, if you do feel like listening to a guy rambling about something every other guy has been talking about, feel free to do anything, like continue watching the video or something. Puss in Boots is a cartoon, I think we all know that, and one that is directed towards not exactly kids, but all ages. But that doesn't stop them from taking on mature themes. If you've watched the movie, Puss is facing his last life and is hunted down. Not being such a hero that he was, in case in fear he ran away. That alone is already a huge risk to take from DreamWorks. Kids aren't the type to understand more than two layers of anything. They see someone running away, they took it as cowardice. And then they also make it the main theme where Puss is facing his fears, not a story where he rises to greater heights. A story that's about him tackling his fears, his anxiety, something we all feel. The movie even has a scene exactly where Puss is having a very visible panic attack. So yeah, Puss in Boots is great. It tries to be different. It's not scared to tackle heavy, mature themes like that, which I feel like we're not getting enough. I'm not saying every kid's movie should have a mature theme, but before that, what is a mature theme? We always say, oh, it's a very heavy topic, or oh, it's a mature theme, but what exactly counts as one? Let's break it down into its bare definition. Mature on its own means to have fully developed, to be at the most advanced stage of a process. By that logic, a mature theme is a theme that surrounds the fully developed, fully grown, or at the most advanced stage of a process. A theme that surrounds an adult or a young adult, you could say. Mature theme or adult theme itself sounds a bit crude. You know what I'm talking about. If I say, oh, it's an adult film, our mind will exactly go to there. Yes. Oh, but what if we change the order? Oh, it's a film for adults. Not as bad to me, but still far from good to be talked about on a bright day in a coffee shop with your colleagues. So, mature themes or adult themes are more correlated to something that adults are able, allowed, or accustomed to see. Things such as strong language, extreme violence, drugs, nudity, and sexual content. It makes sense to keep these things as far away as possible from young ones, making sure they're exposed to this stuff as little as possible until of sound mind, basically a grown up, so that they don't get dragged while they are still vulnerable to them. But there is the other side of the mature themes, adult themes that are almost natural for everyone to lump with the others. Something that is even barely a thing for normal adults to talk about. Have you ever heard of anxiety? Or basically anything that is the big brother of sadness. Fear, depression, anxiety, the things that somehow lump together with the not for kids list, but you wouldn't really find it on an actual literal list alongside strong language and violence. I wonder why. But even then, it's barely talked about in the realm of adults. Talking about fear and anxiety is such an unusual thing in current society. You wouldn't find a couple of friends in a cafe openly talking about their internal problems like fearing for the future or anxious about themselves. Why are we so centered on avoiding talking about such things? As if it's revealing one's weaknesses, opening up oneself to attacks. Everyone is strong, they are happy, they are secure from everything and will live a fulfilling life until their time comes. If the same question were to be asked individually by the individual itself, I think deep down we all know how we feel. How much must we bury ourselves deep enough to be presentable, cutting off the limbs that we don't find appealing even though it bleeds us? As corny as it sounds, now imagine that scenario but to a subject of a young one. Jack is a happy boy. He always comes home to a happy family. Every time he was asked how his day was, he always answered, "It was great." Jack does his best in school. He always gets the highest score. Jack is also very active. He is always the star in soccer. He is the mark of a dream kid. Every other parents always praises him, including his own. Whenever their parents are out with the others, they always boast how smart their kid is. Jack knows this and is very happy whenever they do that. Jack is a very happy boy. For as long as he kept the egg up, how long will he be able to keep that egg if it's not all sunshine and rainbows? If the other kids hate him because all their parents do is compare them to him. If his only ally is the parents that think of him as a star child that has no problem, how long until he asks them for help, and in doing so, sacrificing what he has built, his image of a happy, worry-free, and perfect kid? Now they're not as worry-free as you think they are, aren't they? And the reason why this is the story I made as an example is because I'm sure most of my Asian bros understand this feeling very well. Although not all of them, I did exaggerate a little bit. It's just an example after all. But the problem doesn't just come from the side of the affected, but also the one who has the chance to be a listener to their problems. What the hell are you supposed to say when your friend opens up and says, "I don't think I can handle it anymore"? I'm willing to bet most people won't even know how to answer that. The best thing I can think of from the top of my head is to say that you're sorry they have to go through all that and assure them that you'll be there to help if they need you. That comes with its own problem. Like the logical side of my brain just screams, "This is the best? Help them or something, give us solution." On the other hand, my emotional side do think this is the best answer. It's sympathetic, doesn't try to be arrogant, while leaving yourself open as a helping hand if needed. At least if we bring down the stigma of talking about it in everyday settings, while not immediate, we can learn more. In the case of the listener, we can learn more to be a good listener, how to help in such situation, and how to be supportive to others. In the case of the affected, it's always a good thing to vent such pent-up feelings, meaning with the stigma down, they could get better more quickly without worrying what other people might think of them. It'd feel less like choking when you're trying to get help or just want to vent out. Now, I know I started with Puss in Boots, gets carried away to critiquing the societal norm and the stigma around mental health. However, I would say it has a significant importance with the next discussion. You see, there is a thing called hidden design, most prevalent in games. It's when a mechanic is designed to be hidden from the eyes of the players. For example, when you meet a new hard-to-kill enemy, you might also find a new weapon. While not explicitly told, most will try the newly acquired weapon on the new enemy, which will result in the enemy pretty easily beaten. This is all according to the designer's intent, introducing a new weapon and a new mechanic, yet refraining from telling the players directly, so that it seems the players are the one who discovered the method, pushing their ego, thus their willingness to continue. However, this hidden design is not limited only to games, and also not limited to positive things, as you can imagine. Say you want to claim a prize for winning a small lottery. You call up their service only to be connected to the next division. Then that division told you to wait a few days, then ended up connecting you to another division. Said division told you to wait again, saying they need permissions from the higher up, and then again and again until you've spent your patience and decided the $50 you won is just not worth the effort. They're not denying you of your prize, they just make it a lot more troublesome, so that the winner would end up just giving up their prize. There is also a little tiny asterisk that you may have forgotten to read or not pay enough attention to. But no worries, because in the case of Puss, it's actually very positive. I've said before that there is a scene in The Last Wish where Puss has become overwhelmed with a panic attack, where the hero was destroyed merely by fear. And I think it's great, it's very realistic the way they show it. But the fact that this scene, a scene that surrounds the area of anxiety, even exists in a kid's film, a family film, is what makes it so influential. The director also said it himself how important that scene is. And see, a media is a hidden design. In a way, with more and more people watching Puss in Boots, they'll see, and some for the first time ever, what it looks like to have a panic attack. The scene opens up conversation surrounding it, thus lowering down the stigma and even making it easier for people to just talk, because they can start by mentioning the movie first. It allows a lot of people to just get into it. And thus, we come to my ultimate point. While the goal here is to lower the stigma around the talk of mental health, the means is, one of them at least, by more films, media like Puss in Boots, The Last Wish. The more stories we get that have a theme surrounding it, the easier it gets to talk about it, lessening the wall, the choke for it as a whole. And it's very important as well that this happened for a movie directed towards the general audience. Even the latest movies that I watch that are directed towards the general audience, oh hell, even movies directed toward mature audience won't delve into mental health, even if just for a subplot. Turning Red is about growing up. Lightyear is about adventure and is literally just that, despite the amazing set pieces from the first 30 minutes. God, I'm still pissed that they just went that route. I was really hoping that it'd be about Buzz coping with his time skip, losing his friends on the edge of whether to enjoy his life with his loved ones or make up for his mistakes all by himself, alone. But I digress. Movies like Puss makes it so that the theme itself is accepted not just to older people, but also around children, around anyone, so that the theme no longer has adult notion to it, so that it is no longer part of the mature theme, and just a theme that can be talked about around dinner. After all, it's not like children couldn't have anxiety. The more the stigma lessens, including around them, the more the youngs of today can be open, the better the world they are living. Not to mention, stories that appropriately insert these themes will always resonate with those still affected. Instead of feeling isolated, seeing just their feelings being acknowledged in a movie so popular as this would feel so freeing and refreshing, especially, more importantly, for kids. Seeing a main character like Puss to have trouble similar to them would boost them up, letting them know that even the strong favorite fearless hero is not so fearless after all. And in the end, that's okay. That's the message I get from Puss in Boots. It's still a wild and baffling thing to me that the talk around mental health is so stigmatized that it's only for adults. It's like, oh, children are precious, we must not expose them to these things so they don't experience it, which isn't how it works. Just because we ignore the notion of mental health, anxiety, depression, doesn't necessarily mean that they don't exist. Same thing as when a kid or anyone at that point doesn't talk about their mental well being, doesn't necessarily mean they're okay, happy, and free from problems. Mental health problems can appear in anyone, whether they are openly talking about it or not. Hey, I'm not one to make a lone video for this, but I still feel like I should at least talk about it and make a celebration as sort of an appreciation. So yeah, thanks for the 100 and more subs. I really didn't expect it would come from a Warframe video that was just me talking about how cool it is. I'm glad I can find like-minded people and even have more discussions around it. Thank you. And as you can guess, I don't have any specific subjects on what videos I'm making. If you still feel like to stick around, go ahead and press the subscribe button. I think the next video will be about Spider-Man, no promise. And if you like the video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you don't, that's fine. Perhaps let me know in the comments. Hope to see you again. Goodbye.